Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to ASEAN Teacher Webinar Series, Episode 7. This ASEAN Webinar Teacher Series is a series run by the British Council Indonesia, Thailand, and Vietnam. The purposes of this is to hear the best practices in development skills in remote teaching. And of course, we would like to share our latest free online professional development courses for teachers. My name is Adi. I'm a program officer at the British Council Indonesia, and I'm going to be the moderator for this session. Before we talk or explore more about remote teaching, I would like to introduce you our wonderful speakers for today. So first, we have Achara Jangkrut, an English teacher from Witanai Culinary School, Phetchabun, Thailand. And second, we have Ainal Fitriani, English teacher at SMA Negeri 2 Makassar, South Sulawesi, Indonesia. And then we have Luang Thi Tham, or Alice, is an English teacher at Bong Ke Primary School, Vietnam. And last but not least, we have Kang Tin, is a founder of Leicester Education Center. So today, these four teachers are going to share their best practices in development skills in remote teaching. Well, how are you today, everyone? I hope that everyone is doing great. Well, to begin this webinar, we're going to hear everyone's stories or experience in developing or the best practices in developing material or adapting the material in remote teaching. First, I would like to hear the story from Kaing from Myanmar. So, Kaing, what's your experience in remote teaching?
It's started, should I say, 2 years ago, my journey in remote learning. It was, I think, similar to most of the teachers here, right? In March, we had lockdown. And so, we were at the start of the summer school. We were 2 weeks into summer school. So at first, we didn't know what to do. And I had to say that we were quite naive because we thought COVID might go away after about 2 or 3 weeks. Then we realized no, so we got to think of ways to start teaching remotely. So I was responsible for a group of teachers. So the first thing I had to do, of course, was to choose which platform I would like to use. And we had Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Google Meet. And finally, I decided on Zoom because there are features that are quite similar to face-to-face learning. So in April, the whole team was getting training from webinars or other sources, and we did trial, and then we did peer teaching, and finally we started from May 2020, and it was a really novel and strange experience. But what we learned in the training is that you apply similar principles. Even though it's online, you could still play some games, and if you just tweak some of the stuff. So I am actually mainly responsible for exam preparation classes. So for me, that wasn't that much of a jump, right? But then through this journey, I've learned quite a lot. I've learned how to flip class, sending them something ahead, and I've learned how to create better PowerPoint. Those are the skills that I picked up along the way. So I would say that we started off feeling very apprehensive, nervous, but we kind of enjoy it. And I think I will probably continue to offer online classes, even though it's possible to go back to face-to-face.
Well, that's really interesting stories, and I believe it happens. Not only in Myanmar, but it happens in every teachers around the world. So from Myanmar, let's go down to Thailand. We have Achara, who is ready to share her experience teaching remotely. So hi, Achara. How is your experience teaching remotely for this past almost 2 years, right?
Almost 2 years. My experience started 2 years ago as well. So at the school, we choose Google Classroom and Google Meet as the platforms to teach remotely. At the beginning, it was very complicated And I was nervous because I didn't know how to use Google Classroom, how to create classes, or how to use Google Meet. So the school provided us all teachers a workshop, but it seemed not enough information. So I had to watch many videos from YouTube, like tutorial videos from YouTube to get familiar with online teaching platforms. Then later on, like 2 years have passed. So as I had to teach remotely every day, my students and I became more and more comfortable learning and teaching online. So this is my experience.
So it seems like there's a shifting from a very difficult and it become easier day by day since you get used to it. So yeah, thank you Achar for sharing your stories. And let's move to Indonesia. We have Ibu Ainal, who is an English teacher at SMA Negeri 2 Makassar. So Ibu Ainal, do you mind sharing your story teaching remotely during the pandemic?
All right. Thank you, Adi. Hello, everyone. It's so nice to meet you here in our webinar series. So I think I have the same story with the other panelists, but let me tell you in my own version. So while teaching online during the pandemic I say it's challenging yet meaningful, because it is I think it's a really sudden policy that the government told us to teach from home. So we really unprepared for that. So it's kind of panic. And then, of course, because there is no preparation, we couldn't avoid criticism from the society, from the parents, from the community, from educational experts. So it's kind of very stressful for me. And I feel really irritated about that. So, well, it is not the teacher's fault actually, because this happened. So, but it's then it become a turning point for the teachers, because there is criticism, there is no more border between teachers and parents, because when we are at Zoom, the parents, of course, will overhear what we are talking about. Are we good enough as a teacher to deliver the material or not? So, of course, we learn from that. And then, so thanks to many webinar from many educational institutions, not to mention British Council, who organize many kind of events that help teachers to update about remote teaching. So finally, we can adapt how to teach online, how to activate our students gradually, alhamdulillah, thanks God. Then I think there is also a discussion forum among teachers in our community, and also we support each other and how to deal with these students. And then there are other things that I would like to explain later about personalized tasks. That is the trips the trips to make the students join our class and willing to be active. And then the other one is, we know that who are highly motivated students who need supporting to be more motivated because of this pandemic. So then there are students that really, okay, they are really eager, they are always attending class, but there are some students who we have to home visit. So the student affair, vice principal of students affair in my school, have to go to the students' home to find out what happened to them. So to wrap up, I would like to say that, well, teacher during the pandemic become a learner as well as a teacher, and also we become wiser, and we are better in technology compared to before the pandemic. So lots of experience, Adi.
Okay, thank you, Ivo. I mean, that's interesting to hear that the pandemic actually also bring a positive impact on teachers' professional development in terms of the technology mastery, because they are recommend to do so or to learn by themselves to help their students develop. Well, thank you very much, Ibu, for sharing this. And now let's move to Vietnam. We have Elise. Hi, Alice. How about in Vietnam? Do you have the same story or a different stories in terms of remote teaching experiences?
Yes, thank you, Adi. I'm so excited to share my stories because here I think I have quite different experiences with other teachers. Um, Hello again, everyone. My name is Tam. I'm from a small school in a mountainous area in the middle center of Vietnam. It's not in the big city, so we have our own story in learning online and remote learning. And I have to share that I used to live in a big city before. I graduated from a big city and worked there until 2019. And then I come back to my hometown, and since that I started my learning and teaching online. So that is the first experience of mine. Even before the pandemic, I used the remote learning before that. And again, I am running a project to have other teachers. And because of the pandemic, I don't have times and condition to give them the face-to-face workshop or training. So we use a lot of platform in online webinar. And come back to my school because why I think is quite different because you know, unlike other school, they have to sit down in the last 2 years and start learning online. But my school, it is small village. It's quite remoted. And I think COVID-19 scared of us, so it stay away. Uh, so we don't have to teach online at the first year, but 1 year later, I mean, in the second semester of this school year, we started teaching online. And because I have quite many experiences in teaching online before, so I support other teachers in my district and our other provinces in my country. I give them some workshop like how to teach online basically, or how to make your online lesson effectively. So now we go through that period, but I think remote online still, need, and we need that for our learning and teaching in the future as well. So hope that you guys all think that is gonna be useful experiences today.
Well, that's interesting, Alice, when you mentioned that you voluntarily become a trainer for other teachers at your school. I think you have shared your best knowledge for them, and it really helps them to cope up with the conditions during the remote teaching policy due to the pandemic. Well, four of the teachers have shared the stories, and behind the stories, of course, running remote teaching, of course, there will be some challenges while conducting something really new for them. So to be more specific, I would like to ask one by one of the teacher what is actually the challenges. But first, I would like to go to Achara from Thailand. Did you experience any problem or challenge in terms of the students' participations or engagement during your experience teaching remotely?
Yes, of course. So students in my class didn't stay focused on the lessons, and they didn't actively participate during live classes. They didn't answer questions that I asked them because some of them didn't have their microphone on their devices, and some didn't stay in front of the computers or mobile phones. So it's difficult for me to monitor students' learning or when they did exercises because they didn't have devices or didn't have the camera on. So it's very difficult for me. And it's not easy to manage time in virtual classes as well, since I had to wait for my students to join the class. And the last one, to vary variety of interaction patterns in the classroom, because I use Google Meet. It's not like Zoom that we have breakout rooms. So it's difficult for me to let them do pair work and group work or something like that. So compared compare the virtual classes with the face-to-face classes, yes, it's difficult for me to have students' participation, yeah, in the classroom.
Okay, thank you. And I think the same thing happens to Ibu Ainal in terms of the students' engagement and participations based on your story, Ibu. Do you mind sharing to us like what happens, and do you mind be more specific on your experience in terms of the students' engagement and participation during your experience in teaching remotely?
Yeah, Adi. So yeah, thank you. So yeah, similar with Kai, no, acara.
Acara, yeah.
Yes, the same story. Students are really, they don't really participate in our classroom. So this is the story. So I have many classes, and then one class consists of 36 students. So in the beginning of the pandemic, they were excited actually because, oh, this is holiday. So in the beginning they came join our Zoom activity, and then but gradually it disappeared. They disappear around 20%. So of 36 students, there are around 9 to 10 students who didn't join the class. So I then keep thinking, what should I do? How to motivate them? What should I do so that they will engage in our learning? Are there any ways so that they can, do the task? And then there is another issue is that although they join and they join the task, they join the meeting, sometimes they do not do the task by themselves. There is what they just copy their answer, and even they ask the other students to write their answer. So this is an issue that I really focus on, that what should I do as a teacher to avoid plagiarism. I really don't want my student to be a plagiator or copy without acknowledge other work. So that is one issue. And the other one is like collaborative issue. I believe that even though we are studying online, there should be a kind of activity that train them to work in a collaborative way. So this is an issue that I feel, what should I do so that they can work together in online? Because in a face-to-face classroom, it's very easy to group them, to make them working together with their friend to share ideas. But in a Zoom, I really don't understand what kind of activity that I can share to the students so that they will be involved. There are things like that.
Okay. So yeah, almost similar with Achara, that students' engagement participation in terms of activating camera on their devices, and then being cooperative with other students when there is like a group work or something like that. It's quite difficult to manage. Yeah. So of course, these challenges, there will be a solution, but we will keep it that for later. I'm going to Kind for next. As you mentioned, Kind, that most of your classes are mostly focused on assessment. Do you mind sharing to us like the challenges in terms of assessing the students' progress and how it can impact on the students' motivations during the remote teaching?
Thank you. Yes, as I mentioned before, I do a lot of exam. I mainly teach exam preparation classes, IELTS and FCE, like that. So when we change or move on to the online, I was also very concerned. How should I? Because in the face-to-face class, the exam preparation classes by nature is you've got to give them mock tests regularly, and you have to show them the strategies and tips on how to get better marks, and also train them so that they could complete the tasks on time, within the time limit and things like that. So I was really concerned. But one thing you have to say about exam classes is they are kind of motivated. So there wasn't much problem with speaking, because they are quite willing, and I can also ask them, send them tasks in Google Classroom, and they will make recording and then send their recording to me, and I can give feedback. And the breakout rooms are also really useful. And you also need to train, but the thing with breakout room is you can't be in all the rooms in one time. So I do move around, but I also kind of train the students from the beginning to do a little bit of peer assessment, so that they could give feedback to each other. And it's always a good idea to pair up the stronger one and slightly weaker one, because I usually have mixed ability classes. So that's how I've been managing. So, but the main issue for me is the writing assessment. As Ainul said, how can you be sure that it's 100% original? They are also very clever. They are actually much more, let's say, tech savvy than us. So they know where to look for resources. And if you set a written task, and the next day when when they submit it, you're sure to find one or two who sort of, copy from here or there. So that is a big issue. And then for reading also, I think in the normal classroom, you would be using, I like to use the different color pen, and I like to, highlight the different parts of the paragraph and show them, this is how you look at for a topic sentence, and these are the main ideas. But online, maybe it's my, problem, because I still didn't get this real satisfaction as, holding a paper and doing it and sharing with them. So I think that's one of the issues. But referring back to what you said about motivation, I also have some students who will not submit the homework on time. And I think in my school, so that's also a problem with teenagers classes. Homework is a big issue. So we have tried a lot of things, but one of the teachers mentioned that like in the normal classroom, they have this star system, award system. And so I think it kind of helped in the end. Okay.
Well, that's really interesting, a little bit different from what's actually happening at school, because you're focusing on English exam prep for some of the students. Yeah. What about you, Alice? Is there any specific challenge or challenges that you think worth mentioning for today's webinar in terms of the remote teaching?
Yes. I want to talk about my challenges on planning and adapting material. You know what, it's not really easy for me at first when I try to planning a lesson, because it's have a huge difference between face-to-face classes and online classes. And in my face-to-face classes, actually, I can use a lot of my student support. Like I create many peer support activities, and they can help me to manage the class. I don't need to pay a lot of time to try to control my class, because I am teaching at primary school, and I think it's a good thing to give them the habit to support the others at first, and it's going to be better when they go to high school or secondary school. But in a online lesson is totally different. We have to make our plan become more attractive, and it have to be enough to engage your student. So the plan, the activity should be changed. And many situations happen in my online classes that make me ask me to learn every day. I change every day, and have to say thank to COVID-19 anyway. So it's take me to learn more about PowerPoint. Even I know PowerPoint quite well, but it takes me to learn more, and I have to discover some web-based game, and even to learn about the student psychology in online learning that support my lesson plan. And about the material, because in 30 minutes of each lesson online learning, I have to adapt the material. I need to make some adjustments. So the course book become more suitable with my student level, because I cannot provide as much as support to them like face-to-face class in online classes. So that's why I find out the idea with the flipped classroom. When I mentioned that we should, I send some material before the class to my students, like the vocabulary or the background knowledge. And then in the class, in online class, face-to-face with online class, we're gonna use that time to revise and help them to remember and understand the lesson well. So that is my challenges, and something comes up due to the challenges. Hope that is going to be helpful some way.
Well, thank you, Alice, for sharing the stories. I mean, having heard the story from 4 of our teachers today, of course, it is undeniable that COVID-19 or remote teaching is a very challenging. But at the same time, it's a good thing for the teachers because it's equipped the teacher with a new knowledge in terms of language teaching methodology, in terms of using some apps or websites and exploring some resources to increase their knowledge in terms of how to teach with a new method. Well, after hearing the challenge, I think this is the part that everyone is waiting for. What are the solutions that you guys have addressed to the challenge that you have mentioned? First, I would like to go to Ibu Ainal from SMA Negeri 2 Makassar, Indonesia. Do you have any specific solutions regarding to the challenge that you have mentioned earlier, so all the attendees may apply maybe later in their class?
Okay. Yeah. All right. So in the beginning, I was really confused, Adi. I don't know what to do, but there are webinars that it was conducted also by British Council in the very beginning of the pandemic around, I guess it was April or May. And then there is Professor Willy Renanda there. And then it was provoke and promote that there is a principle of English language teaching, online English language teaching. They are personalization, authenticity, and also what they call flip classroom, and then gamification. So things like that. Then when we designing a lesson plan, so we have to refer to those principles. So I myself then start to create activity that may attract students' participation. To my issue that I don't like students copy the answer, then become the solution, or the personalization become the solution. So I create kind of task that students will give responses by their own views, based their own preferences, based their personal experience. So there is no chance to copy from other friends. I have sent Adi example of students' work. Say, for example, I want them to, that is a language practice actually, to practice using so, that, and such, that. And then I didn't send you my writing as an example for my own experience. So I have a holiday event, and then I told my story, and then there is some sentences that I include the pattern, the language, so, that, such, that, and then that is the model that students may modify. And then I include my picture too. So I assign students to write your family event, and then include picture in there. And then that is a very, it's unbelievable, because finally every students do not copy their answer. So I really provoke that personalized task is very useful and very suitable for online learning, because the world of the teenagers are very broad, and there are many knowledge that there are many aspects that we can share to our students. Their idea, which is very different from adult or from children, of course, is worth sharing. And then they have lots of idea. When we ask them to give them their opinion, they are there to answer, rather than giving a topic which is far beyond their world. So like this one, thank you, Adi, for blurring that. I forgot to tell you, but you do good. So this is my students. This one is my student. She's high achiever. So she's doing the long paragraph. And then the other one will a little bit shorter. The one that I assume he's a bit slow, but I really appreciate his work, because he did his own work. Compared to far before, I give just like a practice without having a personalized task. They totally copy from his friend. So this personalized does not only encourage students to practice English, but also to prevent students from copying answer. So this is the strong point of personalized task. And then this is only in writing skills. When speaking, you can also promote their speaking skill by personalized tasks. Say, for example, I have a text about hero, and then I give one question to them and give an exit ticket to them. Who do you think you are, or your own hero? Tell me. And then they will tell about their own hero. It can be their mom, their family, their best friend, their teacher. So it's such a relief to find out that they have actually ideas. So this is now back to the teacher. Do we want to work out of the problem that we face or not? So we have to be very creative, and we want to think to find out the solution.
Okay, thank you, Ibu. So the point is personalized task help the students to avoid copying answer from others, because it's everything about themselves to be expressed on every single assignment that is assigned by the teachers. Well, thank you very much again, Ibu Ainal, for sharing this. Now, what about you, Achora? In terms of, do you use any special apps or webs that you can suggest to us during your remote teaching?
Yes, but to add Ainal's idea about personalized task, right? I have something similar to share. May I share the screen with you guys?
Yes, please.
Okay. So set up the task that is meaningful for the student will help with the participation. For example, I set up the task in Google Classroom. So they're going to work with a partner, and they have to think about themselves, like they are going to have a community TV show. So they are going to talk about the current problems on food litters that they have in the town, then ask the guests for suggestions. So as you can see, I have got 24 students handed in this task. So they enjoyed doing this task a lot because it's meaningful for them. So this is what I would like to add. Ainal's idea. And of course, with the application that I use Padlet.com. I use Mentimeter.com to brainstorm the ideas of the students so they can collaborate using Mentimeter like this. Going to share the screen with you guys. So they're gonna type 3 adjectives that you can use to describe places in the pictures. So as you can see their participation here. Lots of words pop out in this mentimeter.com. And also I use padlet.com. Yeah.
Okay,
So
can you zoom? I mean, like double click it so it's will be bigger and everyone can see.
okay. Can you see?
I
Yeah.
think
So
it's
it's just the example of the
okay.
student. Yeah, of the student participation. Apart from Padlet.com, Mentimeter.com, I use some games, for example, Kahoot, and also quizzes.com. And to collaborate more in the classroom, I use Google Doc or Google Slides so students can work at the same time, even though we cannot have breakout room in Google Classroom or Google Meet. So these are some solutions that I would like to provide.
Okay, thank you, Achora. Let's move to Alice. Alice, do you have any solution to address, I mean, to the challenges that you have mentioned earlier?
Yes, I have some solution that it my interest that some web game, because especially in primary school they love the game. But one of the biggest problem is how we can track them. For example, or if they play it, okay, they play, they feel happy. But how teacher know and how we can, give the feedback on their study. So 2 of my favorite websites. The first one is only about the game, that is gamesforeducator.com. And later on, I will, maybe I'm gonna share my screen and I'm gonna let you guys know about the website. Yes, I prepare some screen share in my screen. That is a game for educator, game to learn English.com. Yeah, this one. Okay, in this game you can okay, maybe later on I will come back to this, but before that I have one of my favorite one is wordworld.net. And in these activities, you have a lot of kind of games and activities, just like the quiz, math up, anagram, like it can support you when your student try to achieve the Cambridge test, like starter. We have the anagram exercise, right? And the special thing about this website is how you can track your student work. As you can see here is the report in my screen. After I gonna let my student do the exercise in 5 minutes in the class, or after the class, I'm gonna send the exercise or the assignment like you have 2 days to finish the work, and I can set the deadline. And after that, I'm gonna look at the result table. And in here, I'm gonna see what question my student have most incorrect answers. I know who participate and how many score they have, and why they choose the wrong correct answer. And later on, I will come back and have them to revise the lesson to have them understand the lesson well. Yes. So I'm gonna send the link of the game to learnenglish.com later because something happened to my computer.
Yeah, but that's interesting to see the word world.
Wordworld.net.
Yeah, .net. I think it's worth sharing to the chat box so everyone can access that. It's really useful with some features. Will help the teachers with timing and planning, I think. Well, Kai, what about you in Myanmar in terms of the solution that you can offer to us due to the remote teaching?
Okay, sorry, I'm muted. I think the teachers in Myanmar also, many of them are familiar with these the online apps, and you can see in the chat. Some of them are saying like Myru, and quite a lot of websites and then applications that people are using. But coming back to my situation, I think for me is I have used like Quizlets and Kahoot just to kind of do assessment, kind of mini assessment to see how much they've learned, or sometimes to find out what is it that they don't know. So I also enjoy using Quizlet, Kahoot, things like that. And then apart from that, I think there are, for the young learners, teachers, they also go to the website. The Cambridge English offer also some really interesting games, and I think it's very similar what you have said before, I think, right? And then there's my friend saying bamboozle, right? So I think the schools, the teachers at my school also, they are quite familiar with many of these games. But for me, like I said, my lessons, we do use some game element, but they are quite so focused, so serious, and so targeted sometimes, right then. But I do like to bring in a little bit of fun and game, and they also enjoy a break from this, seriousness of the study sometimes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Kind, for sharing this. But to continue the solutions that you offer, do you have any experience seeing how the students respond to this new shifting from face-to-face to the remote teaching? How's your students' response?
To me, shall I answer?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, students actually love it. I think it's the same thing for them. They, first of all, were not aware that such thing existed, and then suddenly this new whole world opened to them, and they enjoy trying different games. They enjoy the word wall, I'm sure. And then they also enjoy playing games, and for even things like Quizlet and Kahoot, they can design their own game, and they can test each other, they can send the game to each other. So I think many of them really love this, and also it's a chance for them to meet people from different parts of the country. So I have students, we are in Yangon, based in Yangon, but then I've got students from 400 miles away up in the north. And then I also have students from down, students from the southern part of the country, and they get to meet online. And so it was, there's, as Aina said before, there's no distance at all, right? So there's distance has shrunk, and they're getting to meet each other. And the fact that, previously they might think, okay, internet is all about games, computer games, and Facebook, but now they are learning. And if you kind of set them the tasks, and then they go off, do it, and come back, and they get this sense of satisfaction, right? So I think many of them are happy. But having said that, there are also a certain percentage of people who study because they like this interaction, social personal skills. So if you ask a student, do you want to go back to face-to-face class? I think about 30% would say yes, because they enjoy the meeting people at the 10 or 20 minutes before class, chatting, and after the class they like to hang out. But generally they are very positive. And I have to say that even when I was doing face-to-face, the attendance wouldn't be that regular, but online I got like mostly 100% most of the time, I would say.
Okay, thank you guys for sharing your solutions to the challenges that you have or you have mentioned earlier. Now we have arrived at the Q&A sessions. Unfortunately, because we're limited of the time, we can't answer all the questions one by one. But what I can see that most of the questions on the chat box are asking about, is there any of you have the experience or your school have experience involving parents in the process of the remote teaching? Yes, Alice.
Yes, I think I'm gonna share my experience because my school is in a special situation, as I mentioned before, that the parents they are have to live far away because they have to earn some money for living. Their kids have to live with their grandparents, and somehow it's quite difficult to get the parents involved. But how I can do that? Firstly, because I am a teacher, a subject teacher, not the head teacher. So I try to talk to the head teacher and we have a discussion. And we comes up with some idea like we send a message to the parents with some and I also because as a parent sometimes they don't have time to or to observe the kids learning, so I send the recording of the lesson and I also give some positive comment to their kids, even they do the not really good things. I say something like, oh, your kids try his best, but I think it's better if the grandparent can just sit next to him in the online lesson. She don't need to know English because a lot of parents say, teacher, I don't know English, how can I support you? I say, no need to do that. We just need to sit with them or you pay some attention, like you encourage them, and after the lesson I guide my parent my their parents to say something like, honey, what did you learn today, can you share with me? And that is how I get the teacher involved, and the collaboration between the teacher like me and the head teacher and other and student. And I also give the class dojo in my class. If you want, I can share that to you. That is classdojo.com. So I ask my student do some tasks with their parent at home. And when they give me the photo and like an evidence, I'm gonna give them the bonus point, and then they're gonna have a lot of point in the class dojo. And at the end of the school year, they're gonna have a lot of point, and they're gonna receive big reward from teacher Alice. So I think that is how I work.
Great, excellent. I mean, it's interesting to hear that. How about other teachers? Do you have an experience involving the parents in your process of learning remotely or teaching remotely?
Yes, in
Yeah.
our school, we have like a young learners, right? Starters, beginners, like that. So at the start, we really need, because they are too young and they can't really, use like devices and things like that. So we had to request the parents to help, and there was a little bit of this parents teachers meeting, and we actually it was over the Zoom as well. They had to be trained how to use this application and things like that. So at first, they were very nervous and scared, but after meeting with them, we explained the steps, and finally they got it. So initially they were there to help, and we also have a constant communication with them, checking. But later on, after about 3-4 months, the kids are also getting more comfortable. So I think parents participation is really needed for young learners at that age. And I had this experience. I was teaching like movers, and the kids wouldn't sit still. But one day there was twins, and they were really, really playful, and I didn't really mind as long as they did the work. But then one day they were just sitting and not doing anything, and I realized later on that the mother was just sitting beside them, telling them not to move. But in my class, I do encourage them to move a little bit, but the mother was like, don't move.
Okay. Thank you, Karin, for sharing, and the teachers as well. I mean, we have heard a great stories in terms of the challenges and the solutions that you offer to, I mean, that might be applicable for some teachers around the world. And of course, we're from the British Council. We also would like to promote our free online courses, which my colleague will share the link on the chat box, and then I will show you. I will demonstrate how you will be able to join this online free course to explore some English teaching methodology or some English resources for teachers. So yeah, Maria. Yeah, so if you go to this link, for example, teachingenglish.org.uk and then slash article teaching pathways skills remote teaching. So you will arrive on this page, and then when you arrive on this page, go down, scroll it down until you find how do I register for the course. So in the first tab, you have two options. If you already have the account, so you log into your existing account. So let's try that, create a free account, just to show that you don't have the account yet. And then when you click so you will arrive on the page, you have to fill out your details. So email address, username, password, and go down, please. Oh yeah, for example, this one. Yeah. Indonesia British Council. And same. Okay, and then you give a name, say ES, and then Indonesia. Yeah, country is Indonesia. Yeah, for the phone number, it's optional. You don't have to if you don't want. And then go down, tick two boxes, I think down there. Yeah, I have agree that you are over 18, and then accept the terms and conditions and click create new account. Yeah, after you create a new account, you will automatically log in. So you are here, it says that your registration has been successful, and then you're now logged in, and then go down to, yeah. So in step 2, after you have logged in, you visit our course website. So click that one. And then it will take you to this site. Yes, so explore courses. So let's take the example teaching pathway skill for remote teaching. So you just click enroll in activity. Yep. So it says that you have successfully enrolled the activity, and you may go to my learning. My learning is up there, and then to start your course, yeah, click, and then my courses, and after that, go down. You can start the courses once you are ready, and that's it. That you need to do to register for our online free online professional development courses for teachers. And then you have some module here, resources, and then you got tasks as well to be completed. Yeah. Thank you, Maria, for sharing this. So yeah, so that's about the information on how you can join our free online professional development resources. I will also promote our events for this coming Friday. So yeah, so we're going to have the launch of our new free resources as well for teachers who are looking for innovative ways to integrate climate change issues into English language teaching classroom. So please join us. It's going to be on the 22nd of April, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. UK time. You may simply scan the barcode that you can see on your screen. You can also find this information through our social media. For example, our Instagram at ID British. So this information will be shared on our Instagram. Yeah, next, Maria. Yeah, thank you very much again to all the speakers who have been really wonderful sharing their stories for today. And thank you very much as well to all the attendees who have attend this webinar. For those who want to rewatch the sessions, you may go to our YouTube channel, British Council Indonesia. And to download your certificate, you may submit your feedback first through the link that you can see on your screen, or simply scan the barcode that we have. After you submit your feedback, you will automatically be sent a link to download your certificate. Again, thank you very much for attending the sessions. I'm Adi. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next on our next webinar series. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Everyone, thank you, Adi.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
I see a lot of my trainees here today.
Okay.
Thank you to all the speakers.
bye-bye.
Thank you, Ibu Aina. Thank you, Alice. Thank you.